Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, Anita Finley.
We're going to be talking to two very, very important women in the world of, afterlife. Let's just say that, because Melinda Ellsworth, who's Director of Donor Services, and KATRINA Hernandez, who's Family Services Manager at Science Care, are calling in actually from Arizona, correct?
Correct.
Arizona, so far away. You know, I just have to stop for 1 second. I just saw The Martian. Did you see that? Was that taken in Arizona?
No. I did see that. With Matt Damon?
Yeah.
Yes.
So where do you think the landscape came from? Was it in Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that? Or was it there in Arizona and places like that?
I'm not quite sure.
Oh, no, I have to look that up. It's a fabulous movie. And I was just thinking about, Arizona has a lot of big open spaces with lots of red rock, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Anyway, okay, so if you didn't see it yet, KATRINA, you really want to see it. Okay, you want me to keep going, don't you? Okay, I will. All right, so I want to talk about what these wonderful women do, and they help people. They're involved, as I said, with something that a lot of people don't know about, and we've spent quite a few years now trying to help people to know about this great thing called Science Care. So if you were at a dinner party, Melinda, we'll start with you, and someone said, "What do you do?" What would you tell them?
That's an interesting question. I struggled with how to answer that for years, and the way that I answer that now is I say that I help medical research and education. And then I typically launch into a story that's relevant. So, for example, I'll say, have you ever known someone who's had an angioplasty procedure or a bypass procedure? Invariably, someone says, "Oh, yeah, I had that. My sister had that." And then I launch into, Science Care is a place that takes human donor tissue, people donate their body, so that the doctors and surgeons who develop that surgery can train. And then their eyes light up, and they put two and two together, and they say, "Oh, gosh, we're glad that someone is doing that, and I wasn't the first patient that they ever practiced on."
That's good. No.
Yeah, so it's always an interesting conversation from that point, because there's invariably tons of questions about how does this work? How long has this been in existence? Why have I never heard of this before? But yeah, that's always a fun conversation starter.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, I just jump into it with all my feet, and I just say, I don't know what you're going to do when you die. What are you going to do with your body? Are you going to be down in the dirt? Who wants to be down in the dirt? And I say, I'm going with Science Care, and that's really important, because you get two for the price of one. You get to have your body taken care of, and then you also get your body to help research. So then they want more to know more. And I've spoken to quite a few sophisticated people who have never heard of it, don't know about. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And that's the time that I kind of go in and I say, well, call Science Care, because they'll tell you all about it. I think it is the up and coming thing. I'll say it that way. Don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And, just in Florida, we have a facility in Coral Springs where we do take the donors into our care. We have grown leaps and bounds in the few years that we've been there. And it's difficult to get people to know about this type of program, because so many people don't want to talk about their own mortality. They don't want to talk about death. They don't want to talk about final arrangements. And nobody really thinks about how medical procedures come about how medical devices are approved, and how surgeons are trained to use those medical devices. Normal people do not really think about these things. So, yes, that's why we're on your program, and we try to educate people on our website and by talking to as many people as possible, because it's just not a normal conversation. But we want it to be. We want people to be thinking about this in a smart and practical way, and say, look, if I'm going to be cremated anyway, which most people today are, then why not give my body to medical science and research? Why not give back and leave a legacy for future generations? It's great for medicine, and it's great for the family, because the whole program is no cost. so not only are you leaving a legacy, but there is no financial burden on the surviving family members. It's completely no cost. So yes, thank you for having us on the program again. It's very important that we're talking to the public about it.
Yeah, right. And KATRINA, I want to ask you a question because you're in charge of the Family Services Manager, and what I've run across when I tell people what I'm going to do, they say, "Oh, well, we want to have a burial. We want to have everything the same as it was. It's traditional. My father was there, and he wants his wife next to him and all that." And so, how do you answer it? I guess you can't.
It is a hard thing to answer because everybody has whether it's their traditional beliefs or, their final wishes already known to how to you. And we don't want to convince people into whole body donation. We just want to educate them on the benefits and what that means for patient outcomes, for yourself, for everybody. So, it's education and just letting them know that if they are considering cremation, that this is a great way to give back. Whole body donors give the gift of life and hope to millions.
Yes. That's really what I... Go ahead.
Sorry, one other thing I was going to say about that, because memorial services are very important. They're very important psychologically. They're very important culturally, certainly in America. And so being able to have some sort of celebration of life, some sort of coming together of those surviving family members and friends is crucial. And so we do talk to people, just people who call and are interested in the program, about how that can still happen. And that can happen with or without the cremated remains available. So having that time to come together is so valuable and so important. We encourage families to go forward with those traditional arrangements while we're going forward with the whole body donation, because that helps to give some closure. It helps to continue the grieving process through its natural course, and we can still continue with our donation process while they're being with their family.
Yep.
Absolutely, and we have a lot of families that do have a memorial service with the cremated remains, because we do return the cremated remains within 3 to 5 weeks. So that does allow them enough time in the grieving process to want to be able to celebrate their life or have whatever type of memorial service they wish. So through cremation, you can still have that memorial service. Right.
I guess the problem is some people that years ago, they purchased family plots. And I say, well, sell them. Why would you, just because you have a plot, why are you going to dictate where that person's going to be for the rest of their being, and that they're not doing anything. Now they're in the ground, and I don't even want to think about what that's like. So I really just go at that. I just say that's not worth it. Even if you can't sell it, just give it up and do something that's really has value. I guess because I work with so many doctors, I really see the value in this, and I'm always asking them how, when they went to medical school, what did they think of their cadaver and what did they do? And they all are just so thrilled to talk about it.
Yeah, and I wish we could get doctors to talk more about it to the public and really talk about how important it is for people to consider this option. That would be fabulous. And actually, this is a great way to communicate to the public by getting the doctors to tell their point of view. I don't know if you've been on our site recently, Anita, but we have some articles that we talk to physicians of different modalities, and I think one is actually in Florida too, and we've done a long sort of in-depth interview with them about how important cadaveric tissue is to their current practice or to their training in med school or at any point in their career, so that we can get different perspectives from a professional standpoint. And that's been really great. The public, when we send that out in an email or on our Facebook page, they just eat that stuff up. They comment on it, share it with people. It's really fabulous. So we're going to try to do more of those stories and really highlight from that professional perspective how important donation is.
I will go on your website. I haven't done it for a while. Thank you for telling me. Well, of course, you've written some articles for us in Boomer Times, and they are very well received. And it's a different kind of a topic than, there are funeral homes out there all the time advertising. We don't get a lot of them. We used to get a lot more, but it's kind of almost, I don't know how to say passé. It's not, but they used to have lunches and they bring people in. They don't do that anymore. But
Yeah.
I was at a health fair and I saw it. I don't know if they ever called you, but there were some people who were part of a funeral home, and I was telling about Science Care, and they looked at me and I said, but they need to have places to be able to hold that body, and so you could still do business with them. Isn't that right?
I love you. Yes.
I do that.
I mean, you should work for us, Anita.
I do
swear.
work for you.
No. You do. It's true. It's true. Oh, my gosh. No, absolutely. You know, we do work with funeral homes in the Florida region who see the value of this program for their consumers, for their customers, for their community. They present whole body donation as one of their service options because, A, it's a wonderful way to put some closure to this tragic or unforeseen death by giving back to others. And then also, because there is no cost to the family, it's a wonderful way that they can use and leverage their own funds or their limited funds for other things like a memorial service, you know. And so it's a win-win-win. And we can make sure, because we work with these funeral homes regularly, that that donor is cared for in a way and moved into our care quickly so that we can maintain the tissue integrity and we can really honor the intent of the donor by placing that donor's tissues with as many projects as possible. So we do partner with folks in the community, and it's a great partnership.
Yes. I just want everyone to know that I'm going to give you a phone number. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. I would like you very much to call. I'll give you the phone number, and then you'll be able to get some information, and you'll fill out a card. You'll keep it in your wallet, as I have and my husband. And if something happens that's unforeseen, they'll call. So this is the number. It's 800-417-3747. That's 800-417-3747. And they are open 24 hours a day because we don't know when we're going to die. So it's 24 hours a day. And their website, you can get on there, and then you can see some of the articles that Melinda just spoke about, and that's sciencecare.com. Sciencecare.com. I love the fact that your name, Science Care, it has nothing to do with death. It's to do with science.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have discussions all the time about how to communicate with the public. And one thing that we always come back to is that we're not a death care company. We are not about final care. What we are is about medical research and education. The beginning of the process of medical research and education begins with a donation, begins with someone's passing. But that's not what we're trying to do, is to fulfill some sort of end-of-life arrangement. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring the wishes of the donor or the next of kin, the loved ones, together with the needs of the medical community. We're that link. And we work with tens of thousands of body donation in general. Tens of thousands of people in the U.S. every year donate their entire body to medical research. And the research that goes on, we communicate that back to the family, so then that family can feel really good about what their loved one participated in. And that is where we get that traction with the family. They go out and tell their friends. They tell all their bingo partners. I'm telling you, we've had entire families sign up to be body donors because of one great experience they've had with their loved one. It's just a fabulous place to work. Every day we come in and feel grateful that we're able to help someone, not only a family, but help future generations through medical research.
That's excellent. And I was thinking about this, and maybe I'm sure that you have, both of you, KATRINA and Melinda, that sometimes you have these mass, I don't even say murders, but let's say the plane crashes, and you have so many people who have died and been killed. What do? They put the bodies in black bags, and then what?
Well, I don't think we've ever had a situation where we've had a mass donation or anything like that, so we haven't really had to work with that. But in a case like that, I would assume that they would have to move those people into the local coroner's office, because they would probably do autopsies or investigative work before they would release to the family. But we do get families that have their loved ones who are in a coroner situation for some reason. It's part of an investigation. Their loved one passed through either suicide or murder or something like that. And we have donors like that every day. So we work with that family and with that local coroner to understand the condition of the donor at that time, and if that donor meets our criteria, we will proceed with donation. It doesn't necessarily rule out someone for donation. In fact, in our local areas like Southern Florida, we're at about a 90% acceptance rate. So nearly every single person who wants to donate, regardless of how they passed or what disease process they had, they will be able to donate.
That's marvelous. Well, you have grown here in South Florida, and I'm glad about that. And of course, we're very much of a promotion for you because it's part of the whole life cycle. I keep bragging about everybody living to be 100 plus, but it's very important to have everything, all your ribbons tied and everything done, so you know what you're going to do. And I remember when I didn't know you at the time when my mother passed away. She was in hospice, and the nurse said, well, I don't think you should be here because you don't want to take the body away. And then my mother had already bought with her sisters, burial plots. They were all together, and it wasn't part of my, anything. I mean, my mother, left in a sense, and we had a memorial, and then they buried her, and I've not been back there. And I love my mother, and she's here in South Florida. My mother's in my mind and my heart. I don't ever go there. So I'm a perfect person for this. I don't believe in all that other.
Yeah, like KATRINA said, it does go to each person's personal beliefs, but this concept is growing in popularity for many different reasons, right? We've got a different generation that's sort of going through the aging process now. They have different beliefs and different values, but also even the younger generation that's following on behind the boomers, they're non-traditional, right? They have less importance in the rituals. They feel more connected when they have something that's more personal to them. And in fact, families are more spread across the country more now than ever. And so even bringing people together in a quick time for a traditional funeral and burial is difficult. It's just difficult. And so this is a great option for families like that as well. And KATRINA, maybe you could talk about how simple the process is.
Absolutely. So the process is simple. You do not have to register to be a donor through a program. You can call us when you are at need or at the time of passing. So we have a very brief medical pre-screening, general questions such as your height, weight, any communicable diseases. So it's a very fast process in order to determine suitability. Once we determine suitability, we will bring the donor into our care, and the donation process will begin. As I mentioned earlier, the cremated remains will be returned within 3 to 5 weeks. So it is a very simple process. We are able to accept electronic signature, so we're able to communicate the consents and documentation that is needed for both the cremation and the donation via email, which works out great with what Melinda was stating, that a lot of families these days have families kind of spread across in different states. So it does allow us to reach each next of kin.
Okay, but actually, KATRINA, as far as the person being cremated, I don't want to be cremated, so what will they do with my body?
If they do not want to be cremated?
Yeah, I don't want to be cremated, right.
Cremation is a necessary outcome to donation.
Oh, it is?
It is, yes. So through donation is cremation.
Oh, okay. So I didn't really understand that. So you're telling me that first you take the parts, whatever you want, and then what's left, you cremate?
Yes. What is not used for medical research, education, and training is cremated and then returned back to the designated party.
But what if they don't want to have it back? I mean, what if
they do not want the cremated remains returned? Then we do not return those.
Right.
Sometimes they are eligible for a long-term project, which has long-term benefits to a certain medical research or training group.
Huh.
So a lot of people get a great sense of pride. We'll have, communicate the long-term projects that are available if they wish to not have the remains returned. And families really love that option because they love to know that their loved one is continuing to contribute to the future even after their passing.
Huh. Oh, yeah. I don't think I heard about that before. So there are certain programs that you would just use whatever you use, and they're not cremated? Or they're cremated and you use that? Explain
Yeah,
that
there's
to me.
always cremation. And if you don't want the cremated remains returned at
Yes.
the end of the program,
Yes.
then those will, in Florida, what we do is we use a scattering service, and they're scattered at sea. In other states, we have an ossuary, which is an underground receptacle in a cemetery, and it's just for science care donors, and we place the ashes in that ossuary. So depending on the state of passing, we will place the ashes respectfully in one of those two places.
I see. Well, this is good. We've not talked about this before. Every time I talk to you, I learn more things. It's very important. So let me give a phone number again. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. Please write this number down. It's really important. And even if you're listening and you're 40, you're 50 years old, you never know what might happen to you, might happen to some loved person, or actually to a friend. And the friend's family is, there would be a terrible loss that happened for me recently. The friend's family lost a person in their 20s and they didn't know what to do. And, of course, by the time I got to them, it was someone else had gotten to them and they had this other idea and all. But I said I didn't want to make them feel bad, but I said, I wish you had done this. But the phone number to call to get all this information for yourself, for them, is 1-800-417-3747. That's 1-800-417-3747, or go online to sciencecare.com. Now, something that we haven't covered yet, we can in the time we have left, that the program does work very well with VA death benefits and funeral honors, doesn't it?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we are right now putting together a Veterans Memorial Wall, if you will, on our website. And so you'll see that shortly because we have, is it Veterans Day coming up soon? So we're doing sort of a whole discussion around veterans who donate to medical science. Because what is so interesting to us, we still cannot believe this, it's great, 1 out of 3 science care donors is a veteran. And yeah, it's amazing. So we really believe that, maybe this is just intrinsic to them, that they want to serve their country, they serve their community, and now they serve humanity through medical research at the end of their life. So it works really well with their normal VA death benefits. What people don't understand is that cremation, in whole or in part, is not part of the VA death benefits. So working with the donor program, you can have the cremation at no cost, and then you can combine that with the placement of the ashes in a national cemetery at no cost with full honors. All of that is through the VA program. And we have some information on our website, as well as if you call in and talk to our family services team, they can help educate you or the family about those benefits and how to receive those benefits.
That is great. I didn't realize that. So the veterans, they don't pay for cremation.
They do.
Oh, they pay for cremation, but what don't?
Unless they go through a program like Science Care, which covers cremation.
Okay, but a lot of them get buried in a veterans
A memorial cemetery, a national cemetery?
I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if a person wants to be formally buried, they can absolutely do that. But the expenses of the funeral and whatnot are not completely fully paid. If a person wants to be cremated, again, you can go through this program and have the cremation fully paid, and then go through the normal placement of the interment of those cremated remains in a national cemetery and have the full honors as they're placed in that national cemetery, with the VA benefits. So the whole thing at that point then would be completely covered.
That is really excellent. So now somebody can go through the whole thing with the veteran. They can have the honor guard. They can do everything they want to do, and then they'll still be serving, humanity.
Absolutely. And regardless if they're a vet or not, every donor that goes through our program, we try to maximize and really honor the intent of the donation by placing as many tissues as possible with programs. And right now we are placing on average 1 donor with 5 different types of programs. So they're helping in various ways.
Yep. Well, I hope that more people and more organizations. I want to go back to the plane crashes, and it's really important, I think, maybe that somehow the word gets out, maybe to the airlines or somewhere, that when you have this kind of a terrible, terrible disaster, that there is a place that people can, go. A lot of them don't know what to do, and they never anticipated that their loved one, who no matter what age, needs, funeral arrangements, and some of them don't have money, and maybe they would like this opportunity. I don't know how we could get through to them.
Yeah, I know it's difficult, and sorry, Katrina.
That's okay.
One of our challenges is getting, like I said earlier, the public to really think about this and have the conversation, right? The quote conversation about what your wishes are. And it is so important, even for people who do know about the program and they do register. The next step is to have the conversation with their family. So write down what you want. It doesn't matter what age you are. Write it down. Mm-hmm. Share that information with your loved ones, your immediate family, your friends. Let them know what your wishes are, because they are the ones who are going to carry out your wishes. Okay? You can have the idea of what you want and what you think is appropriate for you, but if you do not tell someone, it will not be carried out appropriately.
That's right.
That's a huge component of our education. If you call in and talk to our staff, we're going to talk to you about, have you talked to your family and your next of kin? Do you need help having that conversation? Would you like to have a conference call with them? We can talk them through it. We can educate. It's just critical.
Yeah, it's just excellent, absolutely excellent. And this has been just wonderful. I'm so happy that both of you were able to come on the show together. It was so nice. And Melinda Ellsworth, Director of Donor Services, and KATRINA Hernandez, Family Services Manager at Science Care. The toll-free number is 1-800-417-3747, or go on their website, which is sciencecare.com. Thank you so much. We really appreciated this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.